Hi, I'm Alison Taafe, the Sassy Chef. In this segment, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect pesto, and then I'm going to get you to make two beautiful dishes using the pesto and pasta. Marriage made in heaven. I'm going to use penne pasta and fettuccine. I'm going to use chicken in both dishes, and I'm also going to use pumpkin with the pesto. So you'll see the repetition of those ingredients so that you can use the same ingredients for two different dishes. First up is the pesto. I'm not using a pestle and mortar, but I'm going to use a food processor or a little cutting implement. I'm going to use plenty of fresh basil, which I'm just going to rip up, push in here. I'm going to use some sunflower seeds for this one. A little bit of olive oil just to loosen those things up in the machine. And some garlic. I might just squash that garlic down using my knife just to give it a little head start in there. Now I'm going to put some cheese in here too, but I'm going to give it a head start on the machine first, and then I'm going to add the cheese shortly afterwards. Okay, I'm also going to put some spinach into this pesto as well, just to get some extra nutrients in there. So predominantly the flavour is basil, yes, but I'm also going to put a little bit of fresh spinach in there just to get some extra iron into this and to make it brighter in colour. And that way you hide in the spinach and they don't know. So that's what I do with my husband at home. He doesn't know he's having spinach. And when you have it raw, it's even better, so looking good. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a little spoon and give that a little bit of a mix down in there. And you can see it makes a lovely paste. And what I'll do this time is add a little bit of salt to this, just a little bit of sea salt, and a little bit of pepper in there as well. Perfect. Right. I do have to put a little bit of cheese in, so a little bit of grated parmesan in there. You don't have to put the cheese in, but it is quite nice to add the cheese as well. A little bit of parmesan cheese, a bit more oil, I'll give it the final little whiz up, and then we're done. Okay, so I'm just going to grab that for later. You see the lovely green, bright green paste that's made, it's really delicious. Lots of garlic in there, and a little bit of saltiness from the cheese as well, and the freshness from the basil, it's wonderful. Put that aside, I'm going to use that for my next two dishes. Okay, so now let's make the first of those two dishes I talked about. I'm going to make a pasta bake using chicken, a little bit of penne pasta and some pesto. I'm going to make a little bit of a tomato sauce as well. The first thing I'm going to do is check my pan is hot for the chicken, which it is. So add the oil and then add very thinly sliced pieces of chicken so it cooks quickly. If you're going to dice the chicken, it's fine, but it's just going to make sure that you cook it long enough at the first phase. Okay. All right, so just while that's cooking away there nicely, I'm going to show you how to chop an onion, for those of you that may not have seen it before. So the onion has been peeled. I've got the end where the grassy root, which is in the ground, and this is the top of the onion. The root is going to be away from me because I'm right-handed. I'm going to cut little cuts 2/3 of the way into the onion, and that root will hold it all together, which is what you need. Change my knife, make 2 cuts to the side of that root, and another cut to the top of that root. Perfect. And then, when you start to chop down, you'll notice that the onion's finely chopped and there's no tears. I'm not crying. It's because I'm doing it quite fast, and I haven't opened up all the onion all over my board, so there's not a lot of the odour and the acid burning my eyes. If you get to this little part at the end where you're just trimming over the root end, just go over it with a knife and chop it down. So we have our onion for our recipe. Meanwhile, back at the chicken, I'm just going to stir that round. Just make sure that's almost cooked. It doesn't matter if it's slightly under because it's going in the oven. Just make sure that it's all sealed on all sides. Okay, so crushing the garlic, just move my onion away. Take the garlic clove, put it on the side of the board, on the very corner, because that's often where the smell of the garlic penetrates through, because we're going to crush this. So flatten with the knife, like so. Flatten with the knife, and then just run your knife across it and just chop it roughly. You can change your grip a little bit like this as well. Okay, now, I'm going to do is just make sure that my chicken is cooked all the way through, or almost there, but mostly importantly has it sealed. In other words, it's not pink anymore, but it's white, which it is. Beautiful. So that didn't take very long. So that's going to come out of that pan now. Pop it onto a plate. Okay, a little bit more oil, and what we're going to do is use the same pan. Doesn't need to be washed up in between. And what we're going to do is heat up and put our onions into the pan. Don't add the garlic at first because you stand a chance of burning the garlic because it's a little bit smaller than the onions. So just give the onions a little bit of a head start first. The other ingredients in this recipe, including the garlic, are also some dried Italian herbs. We're also going to add some pumpkin as well, so it's been pre-cooked. So dice it up and boil it pretty much, but only about 5 to 7 minutes in boiling water. It's done. We've also got some peas and some broccoli which have been cooked in the pasta water or pumpkin water, whichever you like. They have to be pre-cooked for this recipe. And also the pasta, 4 cups of cooked penne pasta, which literally means 2 cups of raw pasta because it blows up to twice its size. So don't cook 4 cups of raw pasta, you're going to end up with pasta for a small village, so not too much. Okay, so to give those onions a little bit of a head start like we've done, about 3 or 4 minutes on their own, and then pop in your garlic. And at the same time as the garlic goes in, we're going to add our dried mixed herbs as well. And these are Italian herbs, so we'll have probably basil, oregano, marjoram, a little bit of dried chilli in there as well. But if all else fails, mixed herbs or dried basil will be fine. So start to cook this, and you can smell now it's got that lovely Italian smell about it. I can smell all that lovely basil and marjoram cooking, and of course the garlic is in there as well. Perfect. And then what we need to do is make almost like a tomato sauce, like a Napoli sauce. So once the onions and the garlic and the herbs have just given out their flavour, the onions are softening quite nicely, which they are, we're going to add our tomato to this pan. That will give us our sauce for this pasta bake. And while that's on, cooking away there, make sure you put your oven on. I would suggest an oven about 190 degrees or 200. Most of the ingredients, if not all the ingredients, are cooked. They're just warming through, and we're going to put some cheese on the top to help gratinate it. So the oven needs to be quite hot for this one. So just while that's cooking there, I'm going to add a little bit of seasoning, so some pepper and a little pinch of salt as well, sea salt if you can. Okay, so now my sauce has got that lovely cooked look about it, you know, it's all nice and luscious and it's reduced a little bit and I've got that lovely flavour coming up. So what I'm going to do is add my ingredients to this bowl. So take the 4 cups of cooked pasta. Just a little tip, when you're pre-cooking pasta for a dish like this, drain it through a colander, run the cold tap over it until it's completely stone cold, drain away the moisture, pop it in a bowl and run some oil through it. The oil will stop it sticking together as you refrigerate it for overnight or a couple of hours. Otherwise it's just going to stick in one lump and you're going to turn it out in one sort of like half moon of pasta. So this way it keeps it nice and loose, which is great for this dish. Okay, so we've also got our peas going in here, which I've cooked in the same water as I cooked the pumpkin in, just at the end. I've got cooked pumpkin going in there. It's a really hearty one, this. It's got loads of nutrients and loads of green, as in good and green, vegetables going in this. Okay, so what I'm going to do also is going to pop a bit of pesto in this one as well. So I'm just going to mix that through, just maybe a couple of spoons of that going in that mixture there. And then I'm going to add my tomato sauce in there, and of course my chicken, which goes in. It's going to make a delightful mixture, which I'm going to pop into that dish over there, and pop some cheese on the top, which is going to be great. So just move that through, make sure that pesto is moving through that dish nicely, but don't want to smash up the pumpkin and the other ingredients. It smells great. Now, don't be frightened to check the seasoning again because you've added a lot of pasta there and you've added other things that haven't got any seasoning, so you might want to just check a little bit of the pasta to see how that tastes. See, it does need some more seasoning. So just because you season the sauce, sometimes we forget and we add it to another bowl of ingredients as well. So a little bit more of that. And taste the basil through there. The pesto is fantastic. Okay. So what I'll do now is just pop it into this lovely dish. Pop it in the oven. And within about 15 minutes or so, we'll have a really lovely pasta dish for our tuck shops. So you can see the recipe makes quite a large amount, which is great. Economical, but also very tasty and nutritious at the same time. So pile up a little bit of light cheese, if you can, on there. And pop it in the oven until it just gratinates, really. That's all you're doing, warming it through and browning it. So here you go, pasta bake, straight from the oven. Smells fantastic, fit for a king. So let's dish that up. Be careful because the dish obviously is very warm. It's been in the oven on a high heat, so be careful. Just pop a spoon or two full into a dish. Lovely. Pop a little bit of fresh basil on the top and it's our pasta bake. Our second dish on this section is going to be our pesto chicken with fettuccine. So first up, just a tiny bit of oil, not too much, just a little splash, just to stop the chicken from sticking. And if you use a non-stick pan and make sure the chicken is dry, you don't have to use too much oil anyway, which is great. All right, let's pop that in. Make sure the pan is hot. The chicken's now all sealed. It's all lovely and white, you can see, and it's also firm to the touch, which is great. So my next job is to add some of this lovely pesto that we made earlier. Just give it a little stir up. I'll tell you, another thing I must tell you is as you leave that to stand, you see it starts to darken on top. Pour some oil over the top of it if you're making it in advance, and that will stop it from oxidising. Okay, so put a couple of good spoons of that in there. Mix it through. And then we're going to add some low-fat cream and a little bit of low-fat milk just to make a little sauce in there. Leave it to come to the boil and stir that pesto through. It's going to go bright green. It's going to look lovely and fresh and fragrant. A little bit of pepper in there. And bring that to the boil. And then you can pop in your pasta and your pumpkin. It's the last stage for this. Just a little bit of salt, too much, pinch. Now you can see this beautiful green creamy sauce allowed to reduce down slightly so it gets a little bit thick and it looks luscious. We're going to add a little bit of pumpkin in here. Stir it through, just make sure it's warmed up, and at the same time we're going to add our cooked fettuccine that we've also refreshed in cold water and oiled. Remember, that's a really good trick today. So pop that in there as well. And what we're going to do is just stir that through. I'm going to use some tongs just to make sure that I can stir it through and also have the sauce going over as well at the same time. It's delicious. You can put some shredded fresh basil through this as well if you wish. But don't forget you've got all that lovely basil in the pesto as well. So that looks fabulous. I like the look of this one myself. Delicious. I'm just going to pop a little bit of that in a little noodle box. I think that's the easiest way of serving that. But it's entirely up to you. I think that would be a really excellent way of doing it. Just be careful not to drip on the side. So take the tongs and just pop that slowly inside the box. And then grab some of the content as well so that everybody gets the chicken and the pumpkin as well as some fettuccine. Otherwise, all the first customers will get all the fettuccine, all the last people will get the chicken and pumpkin. Same when you're dishing up soup, isn't it? All the content's left for the last few people. So just make sure when you're doing this that your pasta and your chicken and pumpkin is all warmed through nicely before you pop it in the box. And I'm just going to just a little bit of drip on the side there. So my noodle box is ready. Lovely, hearty pumpkin and spinach and basil pesto with some sweet potato and some pumpkin and pasta ready to go. Now don't forget you can get all these recipes on the Smart Choices website. We first of all made pesto. We changed it into a beautiful pasta bake with penne pasta, pumpkins and chicken. And then we took the same pesto and made a light, low-fat cream sauce with chicken and fettuccine. And now we've finished our beautiful dishes. So thank you very much for watching. And don't forget, make sure that you make some smart choices and health up your tuck shops. Thanks for watching.